Respect. One of the simplest ways of showing it is by simply returning a person's phone call. At the Glenn Armentor Law Corporation, we not only return every call, we also take whatever time is necessary to make sure you completely understand your personal injury case and what it will take to win it. Respect. Reserve. The Glenn Armentor Law Corporation, where a fair settlement is no action.
Welcome to this, yet another Blue Mondays. Blue Mondays is where we take a look at local, state, and national news through a progressive perspective. This week we're going to focus on state news, and that is going to be Foster Campbell, candidate for governor, the only Democratic candidate in the race as of right now, as of taping time. That could change, as it has been doing quite frequently, but right now that's what we have to go on. So tonight, we're going to have a very special show where not only are we going to bring you his official announcement information, but we're also going to bring you a sit-down conversation that I had with Foster Campbell just this past week. So you'll be able to hear directly from the candidate, uninterrupted, unfiltered, which we think you'll really enjoy. I know I did. But you know what? It wouldn't be a show, and especially since the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been bringing you national news and a little bit light on the commentary. You know what? It wouldn't be a Blue Mondays without the clip of the week. This week's clip of the week is from Bill Maher's Real Time. You know what? It's just my own personal opinion, but the HBO subscription, boy, it pays for itself each and every week when I get to watch Bill Maher. Here is this week's clip of the week.
And finally, new rule. Now that liberals have taken back the word liberal, they also have to take back the word elite. By now you've heard the constant right-wing attacks on the elite media and the liberal elite, who may or may not be part of the Washington elite, a subset of the East Coast elite, which is overly influenced by the Hollywood elite. So basically, unless you're a kicker from Kansas, you're with the terrorists. You know, if you played a drinking game or you did a shot every time Rush Limbaugh attacked someone for being elite, you'd almost be as wasted as Rush Limbaugh. I don't get it. In other fields outside of government, elite is a good thing, like an elite fighting force. Tiger Woods is an elite golfer. If I need brain surgery, I'd like an elite doctor. But in politics, elite is bad. The elite aren't down to earth and accessible like you and me and President for brains. Which is fine, except that whenever there's a Bush administration scandal, it always traces back to some incompetent political hack appointment. And you think to yourself, where are they getting these screw-ups from? Well, now we know. From Pat Robertson. I'm not kidding. Take Monica Goodling, who before she resigned last week because she's smack in the middle of the U.S. attorney scandal, was the third-ranking official in the Justice Department of the United States. She's 33 years old, and though she never even worked as a prosecutor, she was tasked with overseeing the job performance of all 93 U.S. attorneys. How do you get to the top that fast? Harvard? Princeton? No, Goodling did her undergraduate work at Messiah College. You know Messiah, home of the Fighting Christies. And then went on to attend Pat Robertson's law school. Yes, Pat Robertson, the man who said that the presence of gay people at Disney World would cause earthquakes, tornadoes, and possibly a meteor, has a law school. And what kid wouldn't want to attend? It's 3 years, and you only have to read 1 book. U.S. News and World Reports, which does the definitive ranking of colleges, lists Regent as a Tier 4 school, which is the lowest score it gives. It's not a hard school to get into. You have to renounce Satan and draw a pirate on a matchbook. This is for people who couldn't get into the University of Phoenix. Now, would you care to guess how many graduates of this televangelist diploma bill work in the Bush administration? 150. And you wonder why things are so messed up? We're talking about a top Justice Department official who went to a college funded by a TV host. Would you send your daughter to Maury Povich U? And if you did, would you expect her to get a job at the White House? In 200 years, we've gone from we the people to up with people. From the best and the brightest to dumb and dumber. And where better to find people dumb enough to believe in George Bush than Pat Robertson's law school? The problem here in America isn't that the country is being run by elites. It's that it's being run by a bunch of hayseeds. And by the way, the lawyer Monica Goodling just hired to keep her ass out of jail went to a real law school.
Welcome back. That was Bill Maher in our clip of the week. Bill, you're doing a great job over there at Real Time. Don't always agree with you, but I gotta tell you, I really do enjoy your show a great deal. But as we promised earlier, tonight we are going to bring you the unfiltered and unvarnished Foster Campbell. Foster Campbell is running for governor. He currently serves as the Public Service Commissioner for the northern part of the state. The state is broken up into several districts, and his district happens to be the largest geographically speaking. He represents basically from Alexandria north all the way to the state border, and from the state border on the east to the state border on the west. Foster Campbell has been a constant proponent and fighter for the working man, and he plans on doing that from the governor's mansion. So here is Foster Campbell's announcement that he seeks the governor's mansion. Take a look.
I've always wanted to do this. Have everybody out here in front of the Capitol. Seriously, it's good to be here today. I consider this a real pleasure and a real opportunity to be able to do this. I've got a lot of supporters that are helping me, and I want to say, first of all, thanks to everybody that's making this possible. This is a great opportunity. I look forward to go from plain dealing to Port Sulphur. Seeing people, talking to people, that's my kind of politics. I've always been a people person. I always talked about people's issues. And Lord, there's enough people issues to talk about in Louisiana. First of all, I want to introduce my children who are with me today. I have 6 kids, and half of them are here today. Nicholas and Mary Claire and Zach. Nicholas just got back from up in North Carolina at Elon University, where he played linebacker, and Mary Claire is a sophomore at Baylor University. She's going to be a nurse, and Zach is at home with us in Bossier, working at the insurance agency on the farm. I have 3 other children, Kate, Peter, and Sarah, and they couldn't be here today because they were off in school. But just want to say thank you for being here today, and I want to tell you that we're going to offer a new program that's never. I don't think anybody's ever had one this bold. What I want you to know is this. My program, first and foremost, is going to take $3.5 billion of taxes off the people of the state of Louisiana, put it back in their pockets, which will stimulate a great economic boom. We're going to get rid of the personal income tax, the corporate income tax, and the severance tax. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal had an article on income tax, and they're saying that the 9 most progressive states in America have one thing in common. They don't have a state income tax. We don't have a state income tax in Texas to the west of us. We don't have one to the east of us in Florida. You don't have one in Tennessee. You don't have one in Nevada. You don't have one in Wyoming. You don't have one in Washington. And these states are growing. So there's no better way to grow the economy, bring jobs here, put money back into people's pocket than getting rid of the income tax. The income tax, the personal income tax, the corporate income tax, and the severance tax on oil and gas is about $3.5 billion. There's never been a tax decrease this large ever talked about in the state of Louisiana. And I know what you're going to say. Now, well, how in the world are you going to take $3.5 billion out of an $8 billion general fund? Let me tell you how to do that. First of all, it's going to take some courage and we're going to have to do away with some tap dancing shoes from some politicians. We're going to have to take care of the people's interest over the special interest, and we're going to have to ask some people to pay their fair share of a fee that we should have been charging all along. In 1921, when oil and gas became a reality in Louisiana, we started by putting a severance tax in our Constitution, which is the only tax that can be charged, the only fee that can be charged. Today, 86 years later, we still have the same fee. The only difference in 1921, 95% of oil and gas that was refined or processed in the state of Louisiana was domestic, so it worked pretty well. But today, 95% is foreign and 5% is domestic oil, and we still have the same tax base. So what I propose to give everybody these tax breaks that we'd like to do, I propose charging a fee on foreign oil and gas that comes into the state and charging the same for the people in Louisiana as out of the state of Louisiana. Now you're going to say, well, how are you going to do that? We're going to do it because it's the right thing to do, and we can do it. All you have to do is change the Constitution in the legislature and give it to the people for the right to vote on it. All the polls indicate that people who know the issue will vote for this overwhelmingly. And then when we get this done, we can start collecting the tax or fee immediately. Can you imagine $3.5 billion going back to the people of Louisiana? This fee that we charge at 6% will yield about $5.5 billion a year. If you subtract the income tax out of that, you've got about $2 billion left. What are we going to do with that $2 billion? First of all, we're going to fix coastal erosion in the state of Louisiana. I don't know if you've been reading the Times-Picayune's articles lately. They did a feature on it. They say that we have 10 years to rebuild our coast, or it's pretty much over with, or there'll be water behind the levees in suburban New Orleans. For years, we have known what caused coastal erosion, but we just hadn't had the political courage to put our finger on the problem. There are people now who've gone to Washington clapping and say, well, we're going to get $20 million a year from Washington. The problem, $20 million a year, is a pittance. We need billions to fix our problems in Louisiana. And when the problems in Louisiana occurred with coastal erosion, the city of New Orleans suffered damages much worse. So did all the way to Holly Beach and Calcasieu Parish. By charging this fee, we can raise $5.5 billion, taking off the income tax, personal and corporate, and the severance tax. We have $1 billion a year to go to fix coastal erosion. We have about of $500 million left that we can do something for improving education in New Orleans and all over the state, and also fixing a highway system is second to none. You do realize that Louisiana is not in a position when we have the worst highways in the country, more people in jail in Louisiana than any place in America, some of the lowest test scores, highest teenage pregnancies. Those kind of statistics are not real warming to people when they want to come to our state. I don't know how in the world we could be behind Arkansas and Mississippi in anything, but we are in many statistics. This great state of Louisiana, with all the natural resources we have, with the great Mississippi River, with all the oil and gas revenues we have in North Louisiana and South Louisiana, with all the fertile lands that we have, places making 3 bales of cotton, all the forest lands in North Louisiana, how in the world could we be behind Arkansas and Mississippi? The reason we are behind is simply because we have not managed our assets. We have not asked for what's ours. So my administration will be different. I am going to ask the people who use Louisiana to pay for what they use. We have this great refinery right behind us here at this Capitol, ExxonMobil, refines 99.9% foreign oil and 0.1% domestic oil and pays a tax on 0.1%. I know that the companies are not going to leave the state of Louisiana. Don't want to leave. We're one of the few states that welcome them here. We want jobs. We can progress. I would see state. There's no reason. Most progressive state in the South, if we manage our resources, we ask to represent the people's interest. To answer. Thank you so much. On from here to Shreveport, we'll be in 4 places. We'll have a boom, an economic boom with less taxes, And then the first thing you're going to say is, well, how are you going to get the money? Well, we're going to ask some people to pay some tax or fees that never have paid before. We're going to ask Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and other countries that pump foreign oil to our state to pay the same tax or the same fee as the Louisiana produces. Today, if you drill a well in Bienville Parish or Terrebonne Parish or Calcasieu Parish, you pay a tax, 12.5% on oil. You pay a fee. But if it comes from Venezuela or Iraq or other countries, Kuwait, they pay nothing. Today, 95% of all the oil here is foreign, no tax included.
What about hurricane recovery? How you going to help the state recover?
By putting this fee on foreign oil and gas, we raised $5.5 billion. We're going to dedicate $1 billion a year to coastal erosion. So we'll have the biggest infusion of money that's ever been for that project that's ever been talked about. That's what it's going to take. We got about $15 billion in coastal erosion. It has to be fixed within 10 years. So we have a bold plan that we're going to enact, and we're going to put the money down there to work with the scientists and the people on our coast to make sure that the valuable asset that has been washed away through the years, a lot of it by oil and gas exploration, and no one's asked them to pay their fair share. I'm going to do that.
These oil companies that you're talking about are a powerful force in Louisiana. How are you going to overcome their influence?
By taking this message to the people. I have a record of being for consumers in the legislature when I was a state senator, and I'm going to take this message right to the people of the state of Louisiana. When the people hear that Exxon refinery in Baton Rouge refines 99.9% foreign oil and 0.1% domestic oil, they'll be outraged and to realize that we do not get any tax of the oil they refine there. And yet we have pollution, we have problems. And Exxon refinery, we don't want them to move. They're not going to move. We have the Great Mississippi River. Our soil has been contaminated. A lot of situations all over our coast. The coastal erosion, we lost the barrier islands. A lot of this is caused offshore exploration and exploration onshore in South Louisiana, and they need to pay their fair share.
What qualifies you as a candidate to defeat the other candidates for governor and to advance this plan?
Well, first of all, because I have the courage to do it, and they don't have a plan. So to criticize this plan, first thing I'd like to ask Ms. Blanco or Mr. Gentle, well, what's your plan? What is your plan besides cutting a little here and cutting a little there and doing a little this and doing, we've been doing that for 50 years. What is your plan to get us out of 50th besides a lot of talk? I'm sick that we're behind Arkansas and Mississippi. This great state of Louisiana, how could we be behind Arkansas and Mississippi in anything? We are the most progressive state in the South, without a doubt. But the reason we're not is because we've squandered our national resources, not standing up for people. We've been heavily influenced by the special interest. That's happening today, and I'm willing to put a stop to it, or at least call it to the people's attention.
Now, how is your plan going to affect the economy?
Boom. Our economy will boom. If you put $3 billion back in people's pockets, time they spend it, it'll do nothing but help.
And tell me something about how you're going to improve the roads in Louisiana.
We'll have about $500 million left after we fix our coast. We'll talk about $500 million a year, real live money to fix the roads in Louisiana. Right now, they're 50th out of 50th. How can you attract industry with poor roads? You want poor roads, good air, people coming here to make good livings, taking the income tax on. It's all a program that can be obtained through simply rearranging our tax system, by the way, which is 86 years old.
The plan for rebuilding that coast?
Well, we have the plan, but first you need money, and that's where $1 billion of this $5.5 billion is going right to our coast to rebuild the coast of the state of Louisiana and the levees around New Orleans to make the foundation solid where we can rebuild New Orleans. It has to be rebuilt.
What kind of campaign are you going to wage? I mean, is it going to be grassroots, or is it going to be?
Well, we're going to run a very aggressive campaign, meeting with everybody we can meet, going to every fair, every carnival, every rodeo, every car race. If it's 4 hours a day, I plan on working to now to election day, taking this message to the people, asking the people, take your state back from the special interest, put it back with the people's interest. I think it's a strong message, and if people hear the message, I think they'll respond positively. Who in the world wouldn't be for getting back $3.5 billion in income tax?
And that was officially from Foster Campbell's announcement party, or announcement ceremony that he had up in Baton Rouge. We greatly thank the campaign for getting us an unvarnished look at exactly how that went down. Most of the news stations only carried small snippets, if anything, which is quite sad. But at least here on our show, you're able to see it uninterrupted and unfiltered. We hope you enjoyed it. In just a few seconds, we're going to be back. We're going to have more information with my sit-down interview with Foster Campbell. It went incredibly well, and we hope you enjoy it. But first, we're going to bring you, as always, This Week in History.
This Week in History. In 1704, the first regular newspaper in the United States, the Boston, Massachusetts New Letter, is published. In 1861, President Abraham Lincoln suspends the writ of habeas corpus. In 1862, American Civil War, New Orleans falls to Union forces under Admiral David Farragut. In 1865, Union cavalry troopers corner and shoot dead John Wilkes Booth, President Lincoln's assassin, in Virginia. In 1930, the first night game in organized baseball history takes place in Independence, Kansas. In 1940, Rhythm Night Club fire at a dance hall in Natchez, Mississippi kills 198 people. In 1953, Francis Crick and James D. Watson published Molecular Structure of Nucleic Acids, a structure of deoxyribose nucleic acid, describing the double helix structure of DNA. In 1967, after refusing induction to the United States Army the day before, citing religious reasons, Muhammad Ali is stripped of his boxing title. In 1968, Vietnam War, student protesters at Columbia University, New York City, take over administration buildings and shut down the university. In 1974, 10,000 march in Washington, D.C., calling for impeachment of United States President Nixon. In 1979, Georgia on My Mind is adopted as the official state song of the U.S. state of Georgia, a month after it is performed before a joint session of the Georgia General Assembly by Ray Charles. In 1986, in Ukraine, a nuclear reactor accident occurs at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, creating the world's worst nuclear disaster. In 1992, riots in Los Angeles, California follow the acquittal of police officers charged with the excessive force in the beating of Rodney King. Over the next 3 days, 54 people are killed and hundreds of buildings are destroyed. In 1993, March on Washington, over 300,000 GLBT and allied activists march on Washington, D.C. demanding freedom from discrimination. Celebrating birthdays this week: Jack Klugman, Shirley Temple, Casey Kasem, Carol Burnett, Shirley MacLaine, Lee Majors, Al Pacino, Barbra Streisand, Jay Leno, Senator Debbie Stabenow, Mary McDonald, Jerry Seinfeld, Michael Moore, Kate Mulgrew, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sheena Easton, Valerie Bertinelli, Hank Azaria, Renee Zellweger, Andre Agassi, Uma Thurman, Tom Welling, Eric Balfour, Jessica Alba. This has been a look back at history for the week of April 23rd through April 29th. This Week in History is brought to you by Blue Mondays. Blue Mondays is on each and every Monday night at 9 p.m. on AOC Channel 15. Blue Mondays, your weekly progressive voice in Acadiana.
When it rains, all my friends go away.
God doesn't like me anymore.
Santa won't know where to find me. You can drown in your bed if you fall asleep.
In today's political climate, we are fighting for our rights on all fronts.
It's time for our community, the gay and lesbian community, to come together and really make our voices heard.
And this weekend in Pittsburgh is the ultimate gathering for political action. Welcome to the 2006 National Stonewall Democrats Convention. The National Stonewall Democrats is America's only grassroots LGBT organization.
Well, National Stonewall Democrats was founded as a coalition of our local groups. Congressman Barney Frank and some other concerned folks decided that it was a good idea to bring together groups of local Stonewall Democratic clubs that have existed all around the country and to create a national staff that would serve the clubs.
Stonewall Democrats is so important because we're the only partisan Democratic organization working to mobilize LGBT voters across the nation. We have over 90 chapters all across the country, and these chapters are the ones that actually get the work done. They're on the ground, registering voters, talking to folks about the issues, and getting them out on Election Day.
HERE is proud to sponsor the convention, which is a chance to bring everyone together.
It's great to get both the moral support and support from across the country of individuals that value the work that we're doing, building the movement in every state.
One thing about this country is that every state is different, and so it's good to be able to bring them together and find what is the common ground.
The organization helps groups all over the country with logistics, finances, and it's a way for our community to access Democratic candidates and elected officials. On the first night of the convention, candidates came out to a private party to talk to participants.
We're going to take back the Congress, and we're going to do it together.
And right now we have politicians down in Washington, D.C. and all over the states in our country who want to try and write discrimination into our state constitutions, into our federal constitution. And that's wrong.
You're going to hear tonight from a born-again, spirit-filled evangelical. But I believe that you live your faith, you don't legislate it.
One of the crucial missions of National Stonewall Democrats is training. Over the course of the weekend, classes, seminars, and speeches help members of our community figure out how to get out the vote and defeat the agenda of hate.
We get together, we meet each other, we organize, we learn how to win elections, and we sort of strategize together.
This is Nathan. Nathan is my 5.5-year-old, and he has been campaigning with me to get good people in for about 3 years now.
I got Steel City, and this one's just a sticker.
Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell stopped by a canvassing training session.
We have to get every gay, lesbian, transgendered person in Pennsylvania to understand the importance of the political process and that it does make a difference.
Fundamental fairness has always been the guide, and fundamental fairness is a guide that will make decisions that this community will be very happy with.
And Governor Howard Dean, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, brought the crowd to their feet during his keynote speech as he called for an end to Republican scapegoating.
That is wrong. America is sick of it, and the way to beat it is to stand up and say who you are and be proud of who you are to the voters of America.
It was a weekend of meetings, classes, inspiration, and a call to arms for our entire community.
We are all Americans, and we are Americans first.
To get involved, contact National Stonewall Democrats. For more information on politics in your area, go to HereTV.com.